study the straight punch dodge together with the body lock clinch and the body lock takedown. So we will be on our ready stances, okay? And then my partner will fire a straight punch. Okay, we will not worry about his stance. We just worry about not giving a chance for the second punch. You can just focus on his hands when it comes down to deciding which side to lean your head, which legs to step in. Okay, so I want to go to the safe side, which is this one here. Shoot in for the clinch, put him down on the ground, and control him on the ground here. Watch, when you're here, on your ready stance, measure distance, and he throws a punch. If you lean to the wrong direction, look what might happen. Leaning to the wrong direction, second punch, knee strikes, elbow strikes, everything. When you lean to the proper direction, look, you're safe here, and you shoot in for the clinch. So the proper direction is always away from the second punch. It's always to the back of his hand. So if I am here, he fires, that's the direction. He fires the other hand, that's the direction. The best way for you to figure out which leg to shoot in, you want to keep it simple at the beginning. Okay, you can create a rule for yourself in a way that you always fall on top of him. You can always use his body as caution. You're always in good balance. So you do this. Look, the punch comes. If you know you need to lean away from the second punch, when you lean here, you need to stand for balance. If the leg is busy keeping your balance, the other one shoots in. And it always goes like that. You're here. He throws the other punch. You need to lean your head, step for balance. The other leg shoots in. See, look. I am not concerned about his stance. I'll just be concerned about his hand strikes for now. Okay? So our next drill is to learn how to dodge straight punch, get inside on the body lock clinch. Okay? So, how to prepare my ready stance. Half step to the side, half step back with my strong leg. The back hand cover, the leading hand covers, but also measure distance. I'll tell my partner, for now, just throw jabs. This way, I always know which hand he's about to throw. It's the leading hand. So he can prepare my clinch. So he will fire, I'll step to the side. Okay? Don't bother about deviating his punch for now. Let's keep it simple. Measuring, he throws the punch, lean to the side. Little step, keeping the shield covering my jaw. The legs keeping my balance. The other one steps in for the clinch. Ear on his chest, head up. Pulling his hip in, he's off balance. Now I want to use his body as caution. So I need to walk to the opposite side of my head and block his knee. One more thing, drive when your partner is off balance. Make sure not to land on top of his chest. Post your hands for balance. You must step back and post your hands. Look, he's off balance, step back and post. Then, chest to chest, hug the shoulder, block the legs. That's the very best way for you to clinch and to take down, to keep it simple and effective. Okay? So, now I'll tell my partner to fire the back hand. I always know which hand is coming. Step to the side, shield covering. The legs keeping my balance. Has to be the other one to go with. My head up, ear on his chest. I know I'll move to the opposite side of my head. If I make a mistake, look. To the side of my head when I throw him, hit my head on the ground. The other side makes more sense. Let's keep it simple. Drive, he's off balance. Falling, 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 post. And then chest to chest and block his leg. One more time. I'll tell my partner now to fire one hand at a time. On the second punch, I'll clinch. Look. So, leading hand, move back, back hand. This this way, I'll learn very well which side to go for. Now, take down, opposite side of my head, he's off balance, block, drive, chest to chest, blocking his legs. Let's study how to break the guard on our knees and pass over the leg. Okay, so I'll start inside the close guard. Balance, posture. From here, I will go. Okay. Open your knees for balance. You can start controlling both collars, keeping your head up, chest forward. Then, with your strong hand, you control both collars. As soon as you do this, the other hand, control the pants, punching the hip down, elbow inside. Now, with your legs, same side you have your grip on the chest, you should have your knee behind his hip and spread the other knee right away for good balance. So once here, you are in position to break the guard. He's locking his legs very strong. So you're pushing him away with this hand. You're keeping his hip in place with your knee underneath his hip. Your elbows pushing his knee down, but that's not enough. The last and very important step here is to keep moving my hip back and turning. So my hip does a lot of the work in break the guard. Okay? As soon as I break, I wanna release one collar and shrink my elbows here so I protect my arms. I have two options here. One is to swim underneath and pass the guard, but today we will study how to push the leg down to pass over the leg. So, take my leg out and step over. And for the next step, you have to learn where to put your weight, how to keep balance. Now, I'll transfer all my weight to be on top of him by driving my right shoulder forward and being on my toes. Look. That should teach you a lot about balance and about where to put the weight. My right shoulder should be on his plexus. Look. Then I will circle. Note that my right hand is still on his leg. So you have to have good balance. Shoulder heavy on your toes. My right grip is still on his leg. Just when I bring my left knee on his belt, I let this grip go. And then from here to the neck, the other one from the collar to underneath his arm. Hands together, shoulder on his jaw. Solid side mount control. Look at that grip. Thumb, close it. Cup your hands. Shoulder on the jaw, knees off the mats. One more time. Prepare your grips. Prepare your knees. Use your hip. As soon as you do this, shrink your elbow. Control the leg. As you're pushing down, step over. The next step, the faster, the better. But you need to land your right shoulder at the proper spot, which is his plexus. Now I'll walk around. I'll just let it go when my left knee is on his belt. Look. Behind the neck, underneath the arm. Cup my hands, heavy, chest heavy. 3 points for guard pass if you accomplish that. Let's study now how to pass the half guard. Okay, so someone is on the bottom, you find yourself on top with one leg trapped on his guard. That's what we call half guard. You see, most times they lock a triangle here. His foot is high behind his leg and he locks the triangle. That makes it very hard to pull my leg out. Okay, so Very good guard pass. Swimming under, behind the neck. We will do this. Look. All the way from half guard to the mount. Okay, so on the bottom, he's locking just one of my legs. First thing is dropping chest to chest, being heavy. And then trying to place your arms on the better positions. So, for instance, this arm, he always wants to be under. Your challenge is to be under him. This one here, he always tries to push away. Your challenge is to swim inside and grab behind his neck. If you do so, thumb together, cup your hands, shoulder heavy on the jaw. Now I'm getting to a good position to pass. But still, he has a tight lock on my legs using the triangle. Next step, and very important, we very often forget. Before I start using my right leg to help on the escape, I need to neutralize this arm. So my right knee goes on his belt, on his ribs, and on his armpit. If I do this, he cannot use his elbow anymore. I did neutralize both of his arms. Just then, my right foot will help me accomplishing the guard pass. Look, my right foot will go over his leg. I made a hook with my toes. Now, as he's fighting to have his elbow in, I will be already putting my weight on my forehead, raising my hip, and kicking with my right foot so I can free my left leg. Look. After my leg is free, I go to the mount. So, he's locking the half guard. Do your best as you come with your chest heavy on his chest to swim. Swim, put him flat on his back. You even score one advantage in competition for having him flat on his back. That's not an easy task. Now my right knee is there. I did neutralize his arm. My right toes are there. But what I want you to look is, as I drive weight on my forehead, look, drove weight, I start to free my legs, I need to post. Make sure nobody will lock your arm here, and bridge. Okay, so that little thing, by posting your hand, should be very helpful. The right timing to do this is right when you drove weight on your forehead and you start freeing your knee. Look. Too late for him. Just after my knees are touching the mats, I'll free my foot. And I will establish a solid mount position here. Let's study the standing headlock escape with the rear takedown and finishing with the arm lock submission. Okay? Okay. If someone holds your neck with the headlock, the first thing you should avoid is to look to his grips and arms. Now when he squeezes, he has the choke. You should look to him. By doing that, you kind of protect your arteries, and then you should have enough time to work on your escape. Okay, that's first. Second is good balance here, and then start using your hands right away. One grip on the hip, pulling him back. The other grip is pushing his knee. Okay, no way. That gets him off balance, you see? You do your best to extend this arm. You go heavy on his calves. That together with my back step, I'll make a back step, circling, kind of circling, with my right leg. Okay, watch. This final step should give him a very good takedown. Here, I need to really look for that attempt he will make. Look, he wants to turn and throw me this way. That's why I must post and keep a good balance. If he tries to turn, I should be able to post with no problem. Once here, I will start thinking about how to escape my neck. Okay? Step number one is going for the technical mount. That's how we call the next position here. That's a technical mount. When you have the mount with this leg up. To accomplish that, watch. You see, I brought my right knee close to his head before I made that step. Okay? Once the step was done, my left foot's replacing the balance I need with my left hand, so my hands are free to help me on the escape. I will not try to muscle against his grips. He might be stronger than my neck. I'll just bring the knife off my forearm right underneath his ear. Close my hand. The other grip comes in between his arms and hold on to my own wrist. When I lean forward, plus a little push with my hands, the pressure is too much right here. It's my whole body weight and the blade of my forearm right there. I'll just take my time, and I am sure he will release his grip. Now it's setting up the submission. I post, that's making sure he will not escape, and I hold his wrist with my hand and my head. That's making sure he will not move his arm out of here. Then I will step over. Just after a heavy step, I take my right hand off. He has no chances to escape. Knees together, controlling the wrist, and I slowly arch my back and raise my hip. Let's just make sure the thumb is pointing up because the submission is on his elbow joint. If the thumb is down, that's loose. Okay, one more time. Let's put everything together. My partner will grab the headlock. Look into him, grips. Watch my step. And I post my hands immediately. My right knee is close to the head. That allows me to step over, my knee pointing to the ceiling, technical mount. The blade of my forearm, plus my grip, all my body weight leaning forward. Right hand on the mat, trapping him. My left hand on the wrist, my head trapping his wrist also. I should be able to post, stand up, step, taking my right hand off, knees together. I have the submission. No matter how strong he is, from that point on, I'll just slowly submit, raising my hip. I should have it. Let's study how to break the guard standing up and also how to earn our safe posture. Okay? So the drill will start with my partner controlling my head so I learn how to posture up. Okay? Okay? The first step is placing my grips, is sliding my knee back and following with my head to posture up. Watch. Grips, one on each collar. Moving my knee back and then following with my head underneath his arms. He will try to grab my head again. I push his chest. When I square up with him, I drive my hip forward. He should not be able to grab my head at that point. I will stand up right away once I feel that my grips are in place. One leg up, chest forward, head up. A little detail here, and very important, can post your toes. Watch my right toes. That should help me now opening my knee. And then I can step in with my feet parallel. When you get here, pull him underneath yourself and lock your elbows on your knees. Right here I have a very good and strong stance. I can prepare for the next step. Next step is posturing up even more. So I must slide my hands on his collars and I will keep one hand only. This elbow must be tight here, avoiding any submissions attempts. Good posture. From here, I will break the guard. Little step back so I can reach behind my back. Okay, watch. Little step back so I can reach. Not with my hand, but making a hook and breaking with my forearm. Right after you break, you want to control his leg above the knee. So these arms pushing his leg away. He cannot do much with this leg. This hand is pulling his leg close. That's a good position to prepare to pass his guard. One more time. My partner is trying to break my posture. I try to hold his collars right away if I can. I'll slide back my knee and escape my head underneath. At the same time, I push up his collars. He's trying to grab my head again. As he's trying, I posture up, hips forward, and I am controlling his chest. From here, let's stand up one leg at a time. One, toes. That really helps. Open your knee, then you step in, lock your elbows. That's very important. Two things they might try here: to grab your heels, lock their knees and push. You pull, squat down, keep your posture. He will lock the guard. Something else is when you posture a little more, release one grip. If you don't lock your elbows real tight here, they might try the triangle as you were reaching. I'm in trouble now. From that point, he could lock a tight choke. So, heads up, chest forward, the entire time. When you step back, with your head up, you break with the hook, control the leg, push the other one away, and you stop right here. Okay, let's study how to pass the open guard standing up with one arm under. Okay, so we will start. Controlling one collar, your elbow will be touching your knee, and we will start one arm under and pulling his leg in. From here we will go. Okay? The first step will be placing the grips, one hand on the collar, the other one underneath the leg. Second step is making sure you don't try reaching the collar right away or fighting against his leg. If he fights back, his leg might be too strong. Move yourself underneath the leg, bend your arm, and try having your shoulder underneath his leg. I will do this by dropping my knee down, posturing up, circling, bringing my shoulder under. Now I start driving forward. Note that I have my left leg up, driving my weight forward. Protecting my left elbow, driving the weight forward. Just then, I will reach my thumb deep as I can on his collar. And I keep driving my weight forward. If I want, I can even take my knees off the mat and circle and raise my head and chest forward, just waiting for his leg to pop out so I can have chest to chest right away. Once chest to chest, my knees are off the mat, elbow close to the head, grip underneath the back. That should make a hook on his shoulder. The other hand, I'll pulse on the mat, making sure he cannot slide his left knee underneath my body to recover his guard. So one more time. We can start standing up. Then you will place your grips. One on the collar, elbow tight. The other one underneath the leg, pulling the leg into you. Do your best to move yourself closer to that one leg you're aiming to have your shoulder underneath. Then you keep driving weight forward, head up, chest forward. Make sure to lock that elbow. Thumb deep, deep underneath his collar. If you want, knees off the mats, you're even heavier. Circle, head up, chest forward, the leg should pop out. Chest to chest. Controlling the shoulder. And blocking the knees. This way you establish a solid side mount control. Let's study the standing headlock with punch escape. Okay? Okay, if someone grabs your neck on the headlock, you should always try to posture up. You can really gain power and leverage here by focusing on driving your hips forward instead of focusing, raising your head and arching your back. It's on your hips. Okay, now if he tries to pull down, he should find a lot of resistance here because of my hips forward. That's when he comes with the punch. Then I block. When blocking the punch, you should not block on the hand. That might pass through and hit you. You aim your forearm on his forearm. That's enough to stop the punch. So punch. When he tries to punch again, you control his arm. You have two options. One is controlling on the forearm. The second one is around and pulling on the biceps. I like going inside. And to make sure I keep both of my hands there until I make sure I have a good lock, pulling his arm against his body. He might be very strong and he keeps holding. So I cannot simply push his arm away. I also don't want to fight my arm against his arm. He might be very strong. So I glue his wrist on my chest. And as I step back and raise my head, it's my whole body fighting his arm. Just now, I'll step back with my right foot and clear my head off. I have a lot of room at this point, and I did not fight my arm against his arm. Right here, you keep the wrist, you release the other arm, and wrap his neck. As you're putting pressure on his neck, you start pulling his wrist up. If you need more pressure, you separate his wrist from his back. He should tap. One more time. Let's say this time you were not able to keep your posture. He did break your posture. No problem. Same escape from here. He will punch. Forearm on his forearm. He tries to punch again. You block. Pull his arm against his own body. Glue his wrist on your chest. That's very important. Don't try to fight your arm against his arm. You never know how strong he can be. Step back, head up. Watch how much room I have to clear my head off. It will be one more step with my right leg. Release his arm, but keep his wrist here. Wrap his neck. Kind of break his posture back if you want. And then you pull up his wrist. Let's study how to posture up inside the close guard and open the close guard. This time we will do this on our knees. Okay, so first thing you need to earn your posture. Segura na cabeça. Okay, let's break down the technique. On that drill, my partner will pull my head down. That will teach me that if I try to arch my back fighting against his grips, I will never get to posture up. I need to slide my head underneath his hands and then posture up. To do so, I also move back my knee. Okay, so my partner grabs my head. With my hands, I'll come inside, hold both collars, push up. Now I move my knee and follow with my head. If he tries to grab my head again, I will posture up, hips forward. He should not be able to reach. Ideally, you will always try to have your head up and chest forward inside close guard. Okay, from here we go. Pick your strong hand, control both collars with one hand. You quickly get the other hand on his pants, punching his hip down, and your elbow pushing his knee out. Okay? But if you try to break the guard from here, you'll be just muscling with your elbow. You want to bring your whole body to helping you breaking the guard. So you will need to work with your legs. If I have this hand on the chest, at the same side, my knee comes underneath his hip, and I move the other leg back. So I have balance. What it does is that now I have both grips in place, my knees in place, and what it does is that my hip is making a lot of pressure on his feet. It's not my elbow only trying to break the guard. No, it's my hand keeping his hip there, the other hand pushing him away, my elbow pushing his knee down, but because my left knee keeps his hip there, as I slide the other one back, watch, my hip creates a lot of pressure on his feet. So, grips, elbow, knees, and hips, everything fighting his legs. Once here, you need to quickly shrink your elbows. This one here is fine. The other one, you need to be fast. Grab one, collar only, and shrink. See my elbows touching my leg. That's what I want. This way I am avoiding any submission attempts he may do against my arm. So everything together now, watch. That's how the drill will go. Your partner will grab your head, get underneath, control both collars. Slide your knee back and your head will follow. Now he'll try to grab your head again. You will posture up. A strong hand controlling both collars. The other hand on the pants, elbow in. Immediately, if I have this hand on the chest, the same side my knee goes underneath the hip. The other knee is far back for balance. And also to allow my hip to put pressure on his feet. I keep pushing him away, sit back. I did break the guard as soon as I can. One collar only, and then I'll shrink my elbows. Let's study how to pass the open guard using the bullfighter technique. Okay, let's say you're here trying to pass the open guard and you find someone with a good guard and he managed finding space to step on your hip, let's say he even finds a space to step on your biceps. Now let's see what to do from here, okay? Let's work on the bullfighter guard pass. We can start with the person on the bottom already pushing away. So he found the space to fight back with his legs. My goal is to place grips really low on his pants. Note that it's illegal to have your thumb inside. So as low as you can, but the thumb cannot go inside. The reason why you want to grab low is because if you grab high, you will not really control. See? Now he's again pushing my biceps. When I grab low, try to do the same. He can't. I follow. With punches, kind of punches against his leg. Gives me much better control. Same thing at the other side. I step back and I punch. I want to pin his feet down. Now if I push his feet to one side, I walk to the other and I go on my knees. That's the easiest way for you to learn how to use that technique. You can kind of lean on your partner, but keep your knees on the mats for now, just until you learn better balance. Now, you need to learn the transition from passing his legs to controlling his upper body. So, let one grip go and post here to block the legs. Let the second grip go and chest to chest right away. Hook on the shoulder. Knees off the mats, establishing a solid side mount control. Posting, hook on the shoulder. Knees off the mats. One more time. He will find space, push me away, controlling low on the pants. Locking my elbows, that's one more detail. Pinning his feet down. Now if I push his feet to one side, I will circle to the other and put my knees on the floor. That gives me balance. Now as I am releasing my grips, I'm doing two things. Pulsing in one hand to block his legs, sliding my chest higher on his upper body, aiming chest to chest, hook on the shoulder. Posting, hook, knees off the mats. Let's study how to escape from the front bear hug over the arms. Okay, the first step here is to avoid that the person locks your hip on his hip. Then you will be really off balance. Okay, so you have to have a quick reaction. You want to squat down and post your hands on his hips. Now if he tries to lock, that makes it impossible. No matter how strong he is, just because I'm not muscling at all. I'm locking my elbow on my hip, and it's the straight bone of my forearm separating his hip from my hip. So he's trying to lock, no matter how strong he is, it's not happening. From here, I'll go to the safe clinch. Continua segurando, tá? He will keep holding, so I don't have too much room. I'll take out my right hand, and he starts circling to the right direction. I still push his hip, continue pushing his hip with my left hand. And I'm fighting hard to get to his side and control his hip, which I did now. But he's still holding and squeezing, so my left arm is stuck. That's okay. From the underneath, I will control his arm. Safe clinch, my head is on his chest. He cannot throw headbutts. I'm controlling his arm. He cannot throw punches. I'm pulling his hip. No knee strikes, no kicks. From here, we go for the hip throw, okay? So one, first step, your toes pointing to the direction you're gonna flip him. Now you need room to bring your right leg through. So move away from him a little bit and step through. Then you place your hips. You make that catch with your hips. The opposite would be to make with my leg. By placing my hips, I should not have problems lifting him at all. Now I rotate my upper body, pull his arm up just so he breaks his fall. Okay, and after that, knee in the belly to control him. It's actually my shin on his belly. Good posture, hips forward, controlling his neck, pushing his hand away, keeping my balance with my left leg. You will see very often the person on the bottom trying to push your knee away when you have a knee in the belly. That's when we use the spinning armbar submission. My right hand goes from the neck inside that space here and grabs his triceps. Then I pull his triceps to my chest. See how he had to turn on his side? That's when I step. Now I raise my heel and I place my knee on his ribs. The other hand now is getting ready to control his wrist. That's when I fall. Gira pra cá. And I will have the submission. Knees together, pulling his wrist down. One more time. Comes in for the bear hug, quick reaction. Push his hip away. If he pulls, no problem. He's not going further than your forearm. Do your best to get to the safe clinch and lock his arm right away. One might ask, what if he uses his left arm? I'm not controlling his left arm. The best he can do is to try a headlock. I take my head out and I should have his back. That's why the safe clinch is a good spot to be. Whatever he tries from here, I am getting into a better position than him. Hip throw, 1, 2, your hip underneath his belt level. Look over your left shoulder, rotate, pull up his arm, he'll break his fall. Knee in the belly, controlling the neck, good posture, good balance. He's trying to push my knee away. That's the opportunity I will have to take my grip out from the neck, inside, pulling the triceps. Pull his arm on your chest. As you step, go on your toes right away. Catch his wrist and go. Gira lá. Para aí. As you lay back, do your best to fall closer to his legs, rather than falling high, close to his head. The reason why I'm saying that is because on the arm locks that you bend your leg, you see my leg's not over. His upper body, it's here. If I fall too high, I might be helping him, sai pra lá de novo com o joelho, to escape. And I have to use my guard. Vira assim. I want to finish the fight from here. I don't want to give him a chance to escape. So, in the belly, controlling the neck. When he starts to push, I place my grip. I pull his arm on my chest. I step, grab the wrist, and now I fall as close to his legs as I can. Watch. Bending the leg, depending on what he's trying, extending. Most times bending, knees together. Slowly pull the wrist down. Thumb up, you should be good. Let's study how to break the guard standing up and also how to earn our safe posture. Okay? So the drill will start with my partner controlling my head so I learn how to posture up. Okay? Okay? The first step is placing my grips, is sliding my knee back and following with my head to posture up. Watch. Grips, one on each collar. Moving my knee back, and then following with my head underneath his arms. He will try to grab my head again. I push his chest. When I square up with him, I drive my hip forward. He should not be able to grab my head at that point. I will stand up right away once I feel that my grips are in place. One leg up, chest forward, head up. A little detail here, and very important, can post your toes. Watch my right toes. That should help me now opening my knee. And then I can step in with my feet parallel. When you get here, pull him underneath yourself and lock your elbows on your knees. Right here I have a very good and strong stance. I can prepare for the next step. Next step is posturing up even more. So I must slide my hands on his collars, and I will keep one hand only. This elbow must be tight here, avoiding any submissions attempts. Good posture. From here, I will break the guard. Little step back, so I can reach behind my back. Okay, watch. Little step back, so I can reach. Not with my hand, but making a hook. And breaking with my forearm. Right after you break, you want to control his leg above the knee. So, these arms pushing his leg away. He cannot do much with his leg. This hand is pulling his leg close. That's a good position to prepare to pass his guard. One more time. My partner is trying to break my posture. I try to hold his collars right away if I can. I'll slide back my knee and escape my head underneath. At the same time, I push up his collars. He's trying to grab my head again. As he's trying, I posture up, hips forward, and I am controlling his chest. From here, let's stand up one leg at a time. One, toes. That really helps. Open your knee, then you step in, lock your elbows. That's very important. Two things they might try here: to grab your heels, lock their knees and push. You pull, squat down, keep your posture. He will lock the guard. Something else is when you posture a little more, release one grip. If you don't lock your elbows real tight here, they might try the triangle as you were reaching. I'm in trouble now. From that point, he could lock a tight choke. So, heads up, chest forward the entire time. When you step back, with your head up, you break with the hook, control the leg, push the other one away, and stop right here. Let's study how to pass the open guard using double arms under. Okay? We will start here, standing up, open guard. We are controlling one collar. We have the other hand underneath the leg. Okay, from here we will go. Okay. We are starting in open guard. We are controlling the collar. One arm is underneath the leg. Let's say now his leg is heavy here. He keeps fighting to have his feet down. Okay, I have the choice of releasing the collar, having both arms under. So now I can go either sides. Even better, I can drop on my knees. And instead of fighting his legs that were so heavy before, I'll fight his hip. No matter now how heavy his legs are, abre a perna aí, esticadona mesmo. You see, he's kicking his leg real hard down. Super heavy, but all I need is his hip. Hip on top of my legs. And I should be able to lock it here. Okay? After that point, my goal is to have one shoulder under. When I have one shoulder under, I chose which side to pass. That's when I step my right leg and drive forward. At that point, I release my grips. One arm will aim the cross collar deep with my thumb. The other one, I can control his hip if I want, pulling up, and at the very end, pushing down. I'm driving forward, chest forward, head up. I can have my knees off the mats. The leg pops out and I push his hip down. Chest to chest, knees off the mats. Let's control his neck with one arm. With the other arm, we'll slide underneath his elbow and cup our hands. Hands together, head down. That should give us a very solid side mount control. One more time. We will be in open guard. Start controlling the collar, because that's what happens very often. You start underneath the leg. You're having trouble passing here. Let's go for a variation. Double arms under. He's not sure which side I am going. I also want to drop on my knees. So this way I can fight his hip. I have good balance here. I'm not muscling at all. I'll not wait here for too long. He might try grabbing my neck. Vem com a mão no pescoço. That's why I pull up his hip. Now watch. By sitting on my heels, my body weight helps me bringing his hip up. Don't try muscling with your arms. Always try to bring your whole body into the techniques. Sitting on my heels, watch. No problem. And now, it's also my knees. They're holding his weight. I'm not muscling. He keeps fighting with his leg, but I should be able to lock my hands. That's all I need. Now, from here, to get shoulder under, move yourself closer to one leg. And then by raising your arm, you should have your shoulder under. I am standing up my right leg, so I drive forward. And at that point, I release my grips. My left thumb is going deep on the collar. My right hand is grabbing his pants, right on the middle of his hip. And I am pulling up. Pulling up, chest forward, head up. Can take my knees off the mat. The leg pops out, chest to chest. One arm underneath the neck. If you have trouble with his head, it's on your way. Learn how to do this. Underneath his neck, watch. There's always a space there. The other hand, underneath the elbow. Lock your thumb, cup your hands. Chest to chest, head down. That's a solid side mount control. Let's study how to escape the bear hug, front bear hug underneath the arms. Okay? Okay, so let's say someone gets you on the bear hug. His goal is to lock your hip on his hip, and now you're completely off balance. You will immediately go over his arms and hold your fingers together. And you use your hands almost like a punch on his belt level. At the same time, you squat down and move your hips back. Try to pull my hip. That makes it very hard. There's a lot of pressure going down on his elbows as I kind of extend my arms to punch his belt. That should give me enough time to pummeling in, going to the over-under clinch. Watch. He's still holding his grip, but now we're even because I am over at one side I am under at the other side. That's how we call it, the over-under clinch. I don't have too much room. He keeps holding his grip. I need to deal with the space I have, push him up, step in, little by little, reach this safe clinch. No headbutts, my head is on his chest. No punches, I'm controlling his arm. No knee strikes. The only thing he can use is his lefty hand for a headlock. When he's coming, I will squat down, step back. He just gave me his back. So I'm here controlling the safe clinch. Remember, we will not use the uniform. I'm controlling his elbow joint. I am also locking his arm with my triceps here on my armpit. Now let's go for the hip throw. 1, toes pointing to the direction. You want to flip him. Give yourself some space. Move away and be fast. Second step in. Your hip is underneath his belt level. You need to make that catch. Because when you bump him up, you're not relying on strength. And then when you look over your shoulder and rotate the upper body, you should have him down. Pull his arm up. That helps him breaking his fall. Watch. My arm is trapping his wrist, plus my grip on his elbow joint. So this arm is neutralizing. Knee on the belly, comes in. Grip on the neck. It's actually my shin on his belly. If you want extra pressure, take your toes off the mat. Okay? Grip on the neck, controlling the arm. He might try a punch or two. He does not really have it. Let's go for the submission. Right hand on the shoulder, pushing down. Left hand releases the elbow and grabs my own wrist. I must lock my elbows. When it's time to finish, I don't want to muscle with my arms. I will push in with my hips and I arch my back. Watch. That's so much pressure on his elbow joint. He comes in for the bear hug, quickly. Hands together and push him. Squat down and move your hips back. You can actually go now either sides, but you will find more space if you go to the opposite side of your head. Watch. I'm looking to the left. That's why I'm using my right hand. And now we have the over-under. I keep circling, pushing him up. Safe clinch, pulling the hip in. No knee strikes for him or anything. Now I go 1, 2. With my hip, I catch. If you're having trouble with your hip, move your heels outside. Your hip should follow. Underneath the belt level, bump him up. Looking over the shoulder, rotate the upper body. Keep a good control of the arm and posture up. He breaks his fall, fine. Grip on the neck, knee the belly. I am ready for the submission here. Tight control on the arm. From the neck, I go to the shoulder. From the elbow, I go to my own wrist and I lock my elbows. It's not my arms muscling. Remember, bring your whole body into the techniques, always. So hips forward and arching my back. It adds a lot of pressure. Let's study the escape from the front bear hug underneath the arms with a different submission than we did on week 5A. Okay, so let's say someone comes in here. He's trying to lock my hips on his hips. I am sprawling back, pushing him away, pummeling him. Over, under clinch, safe clinch, hip throw, knee the back. Once here, this time he's working on pushing my knee away. Okay, he keeps bumping, skipping his hip, pushing my knee. I can grab his wrist, extend my arm and drop with all my weight here. Should have no trouble putting his wrist down. Okay, from here, let's go to a submission we call the Kimura from side mount. The submission is right on his shoulder. Okay? So, when he's here, I extend my arm, I bring my whole body weight to an angle that I drop a lot of weight against his wrist. Once his wrist is on the ground, I will sprawl back, drop my chest on his chest to keep control. Little thing but very important. My thumb will switch and go over his wrist as I drop my hip, my elbow close to his hip. Okay? At the same time, I am going underneath this way. I like better this way to reach my own wrist. Same thing, thumb over. And I lock my elbows together. Once I make that lock, keeping his arm 90 degrees here, no matter how strong he is, he's not escaping anymore. For the submission, it's very important that I get my hips and legs to work. I was at first squaring up with the mats. When it's time to finish the Kimura, I turn on my side, keep my right leg here for balance, and the left leg goes over his head like that. Note that as I am doing this, I am still heavy on top of him, look. Keeping a weight on him. The reason why I am doing all that with my legs is because if you try to submit someone without stepping over, as you pull up the shoulder, you throw yourself, you might end up on the bottom. So let's get everything together. That very good submission. Knee in the belly, he wants to push. I drive all my weight on his wrist. I sprawl back at the same time I go right behind his shoulder. At that point, thumbs over, elbows down. Lock your grips, bend his arm, take your time. No matter how strong he is, he's not escaping now. Shift your hips a little bit. You might step here. No problem. If you're not that flexible, you just need to slide yourself a little bit this way here, and your foot will be right there where you need it to be. Raise his shoulder and slowly drive his hand towards his head. You should get the submission right here. It hurts right behind his shoulder. Okay? Let's study the headlock escape on the ground, number 1. Okay. If you find yourself on the headlock position on the ground, the first thing you want to accomplish is to hide this elbow and turn on your side. 2 reasons why you're doing that. 1, if he controls your triceps, he gets a much better control. If you look to the ceiling, he might choke you because you are showing your arteries. You need to turn on your side, protect your arteries on your neck, hide your elbow so he does not have that much control. On the headlock, you must watch his position. That will tell you which escape to use. At this time, he's keeping his head up. I'll take advantage of that. Right forearm underneath his jaw. Then this hand in between his arms. And I hold my own wrist. If I am able to build that frame, he's not dropping his head down. I don't have my wrist on his jaw. It's all the way deep. holding my wrist here. If I need, I even post my lefty elbow. Try to drop your head. No way. Now it's time to get his head with my legs. I might not be that flexible. So, 1, I push. 2, I raise my hip a little bit and I walk away from him. Note that I did not escape my hip. Okay? I might be on a concrete floor. So I raised my hip and I walked away from him. Just then, I open my feet and I come with my legs. The goal is to have my leg on his neck if I can. After I made that hook, he's still holding. Let's say he's super strong. I have to go here, close to the grip, and push. I should be able to break his grip. Then I push him away with my legs and I turn on my side. I cross my feet as a scissor on his neck, and I will quickly wrap his arm. Watch. I arch and I push his wrist underneath my armpit. I have 2 submissions going on. One is a choke. If he's looking to the ceiling, when I squeeze with my legs, I should have a choke. If not, when I grab his biceps and I drop my right elbow towards the floor, I should have an arm bar on his elbow joint. Okay, one more time. You are on your side, hiding the elbow. You did block his head. You did have your grip in between his arms and you're pushing his head up. Raising your hip, walking away from him, and bringing your leg. But this time, you have the hook, but he's super strong. You can't break his grip. That's okay. The other option you have is to make a pendulum with your leg and get the top, controlling the side mount position. One more time on that one. Watch my legs. Pendulum. Keep pushing. And then when you sit up, you take your leg out. Control your side mount position. Remember to post your hands. I say that because the first thing he will try is to flip you over and get the top. So make sure to end here with your hands posted, your hips heavy on your heels. Let's study how to control the side mount position and work on our transition to the mount. Okay? Side mount control is when you have that dominant position here, chest to chest, cross-side with your partner. Okay, from here we will do 2 different ways to control. Defende a montada. That will be one. That will be 2. When we hold the side mount here, on the first one, we'll be trying to avoid that the person on the bottom recover the guard. Watch. I have chest to chest. I'll hook his shoulder and block the legs. My right hand is stopping him from entre o joelho e por baixo. Pushing me back on his close guard. Now we are in an even position. I am starting on a dominant position, so I want to keep it. My left elbow close to the head, hook on the shoulder, grip. on his back. Right hand, posting on the mats, my knees are off the floor. So if he tries to recover the guard, he cannot do this. I'm blocking his knee. The reason why he's figuring 4 is to block my transition to the mount position. Here is how to get the mount. Shift your hips. You see my left knee is touching his belt, and I am making sure my right foot is posting so I have balance. Now I'll lean forward a little bit, making sure I don't fall back as I mount. My right hand that was posting will go on his knee. I'll grab the pants and push down. Quickly, I'll step over. As soon as I step over, I post, always leaning forward that way. And I'll have my both knees on the mats. And then I'll post my hands. I raise my knees to the height of his armpits, and I post here for balance. The second side mount control and the second technique is when we have chest to chest, and we want to avoid. Another very common escape is when the person on the bottom swims under and turns on his force. Here he would try a double leg or something like that. That's why this time I chose to have my left arm underneath his neck. Not this way because his head might be on the mat, but this way, behind the neck. There's always a space. The other arm underneath his elbow, hands together, shoulder on his jaw, head down. That gives me a very solid side mount control, but now let's work on how to mount. He's figuring 4. He has his knee on my ribs. He's trying to block my mount position. See the way I brought my knee on his belly? That will be the first step to accomplish the mount position when you have one arm behind the neck, the other one underneath the elbow. Hands together, side mount control. So I am on my toes, I raise my hips, knee in the belly. As soon as I have my knee on his belly, I want to post. He might try to use this hand, to push. That's when I open my elbow. I will not allow him to block the mount position. And my right knee will go towards his armpit now. Then I open my foot. Then I post, and then I have the mount position. So let's learn those 2 techniques. Number 1, chest to chest. I want to avoid that he brings me back on his legs. I post. I control his shoulder. I shift my legs. I push his knee down. I mount post, knees on his armpit. Good and solid mount position. Second technique. I want to avoid that he turns on his knees. My hand behind his neck. The other hand underneath his elbow. Hands together. Shoulder on his jaw. I'll raise my hip, knee in the belly. He wants to push my knee back. Open my elbow, post for balance. My right knee on his armpit. More balance. Open my foot. Should have a good and solid mount position. Let's study the standing guillotine attack and the standing guillotine escape. Okay? So, I'll mimic the punch. He comes in for the double leg. That's the guillotine choke. Okay? So let's say I am throwing a strike here. He will dodge my punch and come in for the double leg. My first reaction is to squat down and move back. That should give me enough balance and time to wrap his neck. Whatever side you see his head, you wrap his neck. After that, at the other side, you come in front of his shoulder and hold your own wrist. Just like that. Then you lock your elbows on your ribs. And you start pulling your wrist up. Okay? Watch, a few more details. Shoots for the double. Squat down and back. Wrap his neck and hold my own wrist. Lock my elbows on my ribs. You don't want to apply this choke just with your arms' strength. Watch the way I move my hips into the choke. And look how I arch my back. That gives me so much extra power. We will see now what to do if someone tries that choke against us. So this time my partner will mimic the punch. And I am the one shooting in for a double leg or a body lock takedown. So I'll stop right here. He'll wrap my neck. Okay, so here's what we should do. Aperta aí. Step number one is relieving the pressure. So, avoid his strike and shoot, he grabs my neck. As soon as I see the choke there, I pull his wrist down against my chest and I tuck my chin. He will put more pressure. He might have it. That's because I need one more step. That hook on his shoulder. It's not so much my hand on his back, but it's the hook my arm makes on his shoulder. So now when he puts pressure, you see, even if he gets me off the mat, I don't really feel the choke. Go one more time. Watch. I don't really feel the choke. When he needs to rest his arm for a little bit, I step behind his knee for the takedown. Block his knee and I drive. Make sure to post your hands and step back. Don't fall on top of your partner when practicing that technique. You drive, post. And then you go chest to chest. My right hand is behind his neck. My left hand immediately goes back to his wrist. He's still squeezing and holding. I raise my hip and I drive my shoulder really heavy on his neck. Heavy, heavy until he wants to defend his own neck. That's when I go chest to chest, underneath his elbow, hands together, shoulder on his jaw, and I establish the side mount control. One more time. My partner will mimic the punch. I will avoid his strike. Shoot in, he'll wrap my neck. One grip on his wrist, pulling down. Tuck my chin and hook on his shoulder. Watch the hook. Now he tries the choke. I don't really feel it. Time for the takedown. Make sure to walk to the opposite side of your head. If you miss that important step, you might hit your head on the ground. Watch. That would be wrong. Opposite side of my head, I block his knee and I drive. Now I will step back and post my hands. Now, right arm behind his neck, left hand on his wrist. I will stay on my toes and hips high so I can drive a lot of weight on my right shoulder. Now he feels the pressure and he wants to protect his neck. I'll be patient until he wants to protect his own neck. He had to release mine. Underneath the elbow, cup my hands, shoulder on his jaw, chest to chest. Let's study the headlock escape on the ground, number 2. Let's say you find yourself on the headlock position. But at this time, the person on top is holding your neck and also dropping his head down. So you did not have the chance, deixa eu puxar, to push his head up. Okay, he's blocking. You will have to get his back. Okay? When you find yourself on the headlock position here, working on your escapes, the first step is to hide this arm and turn on your side. That because if you allow the person on top to grab your triceps, he has a much better control. If you look to the ceiling, you might get the choke because you're exposing your arteries. So always, real quick, you want to do this. And now you will watch, observe his position to decide which escape to use. I cannot push his head up, so I want to try to put my hook. You see my right leg inside, my right foot inside his leg. That's what we call a hook. From that point on, my right hand is trying to touch the mats. To do so, I start coming up to my knees. Post, post, post. Now I have a lot of weight on top of him. I don't muscle with my neck. This hand will just pull back his wrist. That should be enough to clear his grip and to clear my head off. So when you are upside down there, don't muscle with your neck. Just keep your balance. Pull back his wrist. You should break his grip. Once you're here, put weight on him. Control his upper body and push his wrist up. Okay, one more time. Deixa eu virar assim lá. Watch my left leg. The way I move my left leg really helps me to come up to my knees. Watch. When I post the leg up, I put all my weight on top of him. You see his grip's about to break. With this hand, I pull back. Then I clear my head off. With the weight on him, controlling his upper body, I push up his wrist. Let's study now the side mount position from the bottom. We will see how to recover our close guard from there. Okay, so we'll start here. Pode abraçar minha cabeça. And from here we will go for full guard. The first thing to learn here is where to place your hands. We will do the knife underneath his neck and the seashell underneath his hip. That's a good way for you to remember. Okay, so look, he comes in, he's controlling your neck, he has chest to chest real heavy. You don't want to be pushing his chest or upper body, just the knife, hiding your arm underneath his neck. The other side, just hiding your arm underneath the hip and the seashell. That will be your first position to learn at the side mount, okay? With your legs, you will figure four and touch his ribs with your knee. That's to prevent the mount position, okay? From here, we will go ahead and recover the full guard. So watch. I want to bring my right leg underneath his body, but I don't have enough room. My knee is touching his knee. I need hip escape. I post my left leg and escape my hip. After I have escaped my hip, my right knee found enough room. Watch. When my right knee touches my right elbow, I push his leg with my right knee. And the left foot should be able to catch half guard. Once my left knee catches his leg, the seashell will go from the hip to the knee. And if I can, I even start using my hand on his knee. Now I should start being able to posture up. If I do posture up, my right leg will slide through easily. And when I square up with him, I should have no problem locking my legs. Okay, keep in mind that the portion on top might be real heavy, so he will hold a real strong hug here. He will throw a lot of weight on you. So your arms will not fight against any of that. You're just making yourself safe at first with the seashell and the knife. You're also figuring for. The first opportunity you have, you just want to find the space underneath his legs. His legs are not as heavy as his upper body. I am just fighting against his legs, no matter how strong or how heavy he is here. All I want is to catch my half guard with my left foot. Watch. Now all I want is to have my elbow against his knee again. So slowly I can posture up and bring my right knee underneath. When I square up, my right foot pops out. And I have close guard. And I should be safe here. Let's study some basic strikes and the body lock clinch and the body lock takedown. Okay? My partner will just stand here with his feet parallel and post his hands so I can practice. The first step is learning how to prepare your ready stance. Okay, you pick your strong leg and you make a half step to the side and a half step back. And you keep your feet always at the same distance. If you move back, you adjust. If you move forward, you adjust. If you move to the sides, you adjust your stance. Okay, and then you turn your upper body sideways a little bit. With the back hand, you cover. With the leading hand, you cover, but you will also be measuring the distance sometimes. That's because the jiu-jitsu strategy here is not to exchange strikes with anybody, so I don't want to be at the distance that he can punch and or kick. So I want to make a little step back, posture up a bit more, keeping my back straight. And with this hand, I make sure that I am always at the distance I want to be. So if I feel like I am at the distance of the striker, I will either step back or step in for the clinch. Okay, so that's your ready stance to apply the jiu-jitsu strategy, standing up here. Okay, so after that, we'll practice some basic strikes with our hands. So with the leading hand, we throw one. Then with the back hand, we throw two. Okay, so tuck your chin, cover, lock your hands. When you go for the punch, you make sure to turn your upper body, turn your hips so you gain more power. Okay? And the other side, same thing. Put your hip, put your upper body behind the punch so you gain more power. Our strikes here will be almost always on a straight line. We want to strike just enough to set up our clinch and take the fight to the ground. Same strategy for our kicks. One of the kicks we use the most, standing up, is the push kick with the leading leg. That's not so much to knock him out, but it will be most times either to set up my clinch or to create distance between us. So if I feel like now he's at the distance of the striker, I can anytime push kick and push him away. Note that when I kick, I bring my leg back. You will not want to kick and leave your leg there so they can kick your leg. Okay, so the first drill is preparing my ready stance. 1, 2, measuring distance, push kick. Once you get that, you start working on your clinch and body lock takedown. So, to go inside for the clinch, you want to change levels. You squat down with your hips, keep your back straight, keep your eye on him. That's very important. Okay, and then with the leading hand, you make a shield, keep your eye on him. Continue covering here until you're that close. Just then, you lock his hips. For now, you can just use fingers together, lock your elbows. Okay, that grip will work fine. To get him off balance, I'll start pulling his hip and driving my head forward. Note that my head is up, my ear is on his chest. The opposite is to looking down and having your head here. You're giving chances for them to grab your neck. It's right here. He's off balance. That might not be enough to throw him. I need to get some work done with my legs. Let's go for the inside trip. 1, 2, I get that deep. My hip is on his hip, and then I will make the trip. It's a hook with my leg. At this time, I am pulling his weight down and driving forward. Note that I post, don't want to land on top of my partner's chest. I recover my balance on my knees, and I posture up. Knees wide spread for balance, posturing up so I can defend my neck and my arms if he attacks. Okay? One more time. I'll have my partner with feet parallel, hands up, preparing my ready stance. My strong leg steps back, covering, measuring his distance. 1, 2, strikes on a straight line, leading leg, push kick. 1, 2, measuring distance. When I drop, I keep my shield here. I keep my eye on him. The leading leg will step in between his legs and lock his hip. I start pulling his hip in and driving forward. He is off balance, but I will make 1, 2, step deeper for the hook. Okay, at that point, start pulling his weight down. As you drive forward, post, posture up right away, spread your knees for balance, and keep your head up and arch your back. Let's study the headlock on the ground escape number 3. Okay, let's say from standing up here, I am working my way into the clinch, but I make a mistake. I give him enough time to turn, grab my neck, throw him down. And then I'll find myself at the headlock situation here on the ground. For that escape, let's say he will even manage controlling my arm, which makes my escape even harder. Okay? So here's what I will need to do. Try to pull my arm out, does not happen. Joga peso no meu peito. Okay? On the fundamentals program, we learn 3 different headlock escapes on the ground. It's his position on top that tells us which escape to use. Okay? So this time, he's controlling my arm. He's not giving me space for the hook. His head is down. That tells me to go to escape number 3. Okay? The first thing is, I try to pull my arm out. Since I could not, I'll just hold my hands together. fingers together here, and I'll hug him close to me. My first attempt is to bridge, bumping my hips up and pushing him this way. I'm hoping that he posts. Nessa primeira eu vou te jogar, tu apoia a mão. If he posts, he cannot hold my arms anymore. That would be a great opportunity to hide my arm inside. And then I could try something else. But, let's say, seu pé esquerdo, bota lá para cima. Estica sua perna esquerda. Lá para cima mesmo. Let's say now I try to bump, but he's keeping good balance on his feet. So he did not need to post, my arm is still trapped. I will bump harder, provoking his reaction. He starts pulling up my arm and pushing weight on my chest. That's the opportunity for the escape. That escape is very technical. In order not to muscle with your hands, you must place your hips close to his hips, and you must bridge this way. Just after you get his hips off the mats, you start moving your upper body to the direction you want to throw him. Okay? So watch. Watch how I'll use my hips at first. And just then I turn my upper body and I start using my arms to finish the escape. Posting, just so he does not try to flip you that way. And stop right here. Okay, so one more time. If you are on the ground, headlock situation, these arms is stuck, hold your hands together. Bump forward, hoping that he posts. If he does not, he will pull your arm harder and he will drive weight on your chest to get the control of this situation. That's when you place your hips underneath his and bump up. If you place your hips proper and you make the bridge, you should not need to muscle with your hands. Let's study now the spinning armbar from side mount. Let's say I am controlling the side mount position here, and he makes the mistake of opening this arm a bit too much. That's my opportunity to work the spinning armbar. Okay, so when you are on the bottom in the side mount situation, you should always hide your arms underneath the person on top. Let's say this time you are on top, the person on the bottom opens a bit too much this arm. Okay, so estica as pernas, as duas. I am here chest to chest, my knees are off the mat, just heavy on top of him. He's opening the arm. I will wrap the arm, hold my own collar. You might need to feed the collar here, that's okay. Now it's time to go to the north-south position. This hand is important to post. The reason why, apoia os pés lá no chão de novo. Quando eu for para a cabeça, você me acompanha. The reason why is, he's trying to follow me as I go to the north-south. When I post, I stop his hip. Then I can reach the north-south position. Ok? Volta para lá, Timo. Estica as pernas. Here, as soon as you reach the north-south position, use the right hand that was posing to block his hip, to block his biceps. The reason why is he will try to hold his hands. If he does hold his hands, you will have trouble posturing up. Once you posture up, you are really setting up the submission here. I am just one step away from the submission. My elbow is working, putting pressure towards my chest. My head is locking his wrist, and I keep my grip on the collar. So he should not be able to pull this arm down now. Have a tight lock. The next step is to stand up your leg at the same side of this arm. You are working the submission. And then you drive your knee on his ribs. You see he's turning on his side. That's because it's a tight lock I have here. His elbow joint is trapped. So when I turn my upper body, he turns with me. I'm blocking the biceps, knee on his ribs. Just then, I stand up the other leg. That's the best way for you to work the spinning armbar without giving him space to escape. Ok? Anda pra lá um pouquinho. Watch, just then I stand up my right leg. Even better if you don't step with this foot. It's even tighter. Knees together, controlling the wrist, making sure his thumb is up, and then I lay for the submission. One more time. I have side mount control. Chest to chest, knees off the mats. He's opening the arm. I hold my own collar, block his hip. Knees off the mats, north-south. As soon as I reach north-south, posturing up and controlling his biceps. Keeping tight lock on his arm. I step up, and then I drive my knee on his ribs. Just then, I stand up my second leg, and one last detail, when I fall, I try to fall as close to his legs as I can. If you fall towards the head, you might be helping him to escape. Let's study the bear hug escape over the arms, okay? When the attack comes from behind, see, that's the bear hug, it's over my arms. So, first thing is good balance for a quick reaction, then we go. Okay? So, the first thing here is good balance, so feet parallel, squat down a little bit so you can react. Now, you should not fight against his grips. He's holding very strong. All you need is to bend your arms a little bit. You're just doing that in order to free your hips. Once your hips can move, you can create enough room to step behind him. Readjust your feet. You see my feet's parallel by now? He keeps holding, he's squeezing, no problem. I'll go for the takedown. Without holding the pants, my grip's just going behind his knee, that's enough. The key for this takedown is to have my hips on the proper position. If I bring my hips into the proper position, I should not feel his weight at all. You see? His weight is all on my hips. It's not on my back, it's not on my arms. My legs and my hips are carrying him. Good balance, bend my arms. I can move my hips. If I move my hips to the left, I always step behind him with my right foot. Readjust your feet. You want to have your feet parallel. He's squeezing, holding is strong. Let's go for the takedown. Controlling the leg. Don't grab on the uniform. Hips forward. That's how you should be able to carry someone that is even heavier than you. And one more detail. When you pull him on your hips, you rotate your upper body. With that rotation, you get his weight to go on your hips, right where you want it. And put him back. You should not finish that throw until you're very confident on your escape and making sure you have a partner that really knows how to break his fall. Okay, so now, once more, let's finish the throw all the way to the ground. Note that I rotate my upper body. Now when I throw, I don't move. Okay? Because I don't want to go with him. I'll just face him at the other side. He will be right here. He's probably now facing me to escape me in the belly. Good posture, hips forward. It's actually my shin on his belly. If I take my toes off the mats and much heavier on him, that leg is up here for balance. Now with my hands, pushing the neck, pushing his wrist, just to keep his back flat on the mats. He should not be able to escape from here. Okay? Let's study the side mount escape to the turtle position. That escape is to be used whenever you find yourself at the side mount situation here, and the person on top is blocking your leg from sliding underneath his body. I was hoping to slide my leg underneath to put him back on my guard, but he is blocking. Now it's time to go for the second escape. And we'll stop right here for now. Okay. Before you start with the escape, protect your arms and block his transition to the mount. Watch. This arm underneath, we like to call that the seashell, just so the students remember. The other one underneath his neck, we like to call that the knife, underneath the neck. The main thing is that I hide my elbows. And I am also using my elbows to push him a little bit here, a little bit there. With my legs, figuring 4. See, my right knee touches him, and I figure 4. I block the mount. So that's how you should start your escapes when you are in the side mount situation. Okay? So now I try to slide my right leg down to go underneath, but he's blocking with his hand. It's time to get the knife and swim underneath his body. There's an important detail to do it. Watch. If you don't know how to do it and you open your hand, he will grab you in a submission called the key lock. Good American. And you might tap. The detail here is bump. When you drop your hips, there will be a little gap between you and him. Okay? You bump, push up with your elbow. When you drop your hips, watch. You swim with no risk for the key lock. Once you swim underneath, you need a lot of hip escape. As more as you can. You want to move away from him. At that point, as I am escaping my hip, my right elbow is pushing his hip down. My left arm is pushing him up. I don't want to muscle too much with my arms. All I want is to escape my hip and slide underneath him. If you grab something and start to push, you will start muscling. So make sure just to slide. That hand is traveling to grab behind his knee. That one, I'll just use as a post to help myself turning to the turtle position. So, once here, very important, watch. This arm that was pushing the hip is now underneath my own upper body. My left elbow is underneath my upper body. So after I turn my legs, it will easily post here. You see, no matter how heavy he is, I'm not really feeling his weight. Gira pra lá um pouquinho. Because my knees and this elbow here are offering me a very solid turtle position. Ok? Fica ajoelhado aí. So watch. From here, you bump, swim under. Then you start escaping your hip. That arm is what I want to show you. It goes underneath my upper body. Just then, I turn my legs, and then my elbows right here to post. The person on top might be really heavy, so you need to come up with your hips first. And then your elbows right there. You should have a very solid turtle position here. You should have no problem turning with a heavier person than you. Okay, so one more time. The knife and the seashell, figuring four on my legs. I try sliding my knee under, but he's blocking. That's when I bump and I swim underneath. Note that my lefty hand's not grabbing on anything. It's just driving him up as I push his hip away. And I am good here no matter how heavy he is. Let's study the double leg from the turtle position. Okay? Let's say you have the turtle position here. You're posting both elbows. From here, you want to go for the double leg. Let's say one hand starts reaching for the knee. If my head is on the right side, the hand that will reach is at the opposite side. Always like that. I still have the balance because I am posting the other elbow and my knees are underneath myself, so I'm good. From here we go. And we control the side mount position now. If you don't prepare a good turtle position, meaning that your knees and your elbows should be closed. If you don't prepare the turtle position well, it makes it very hard to carry your weight. Watch. I am here with a strong turtle position, but if one of my knees is off place, or maybe my elbow, now he starts being too heavy. So the first step is having a solid turtle position so you can carry your weight. You will not want your head to be stuck underneath him. So your head is outside. And now we need to use what we call the elevator, which is that next step here. Just then you reach to the legs. You see the left knee here is what we call the elevator. Once my left knee advances forward, you see I can even raise my upper body here. That's the elevator pushing me up. Then my hand will go for his leg. I need balance here. You see he's pushing all his weight. He's on his toes, no problem. I don't really feel it because my legs are in place. Just then I reach. It would be a mistake to keep running forward. We need to do what we call cutting the corner. Não cai ainda não, tá, tio? I reach for the double, using the elevator. My hips comes up and I step. That's when I cut the corner. Watch. Now, that's what we call cutting the corner. When you're here, and instead of running forward, you step, and now you turn this way. You pull that leg up, the other one you just cut here with your hand, and you drive. It's not my arms muscling so much. That leg here pushing gives me so much power together with my shoulder and my head. After the throw, I post my hand. I make sure not to land on my partner right away. Then after that, chest to chest, heavy on him, knees off the mats. Now I can hug the shoulder, just like he was doing when he had the top. And pulsing here to block his legs.